Okay. So very good afternoon. So this is the second live session of the NPTEL course on machine learning and deep learning, fundamentals and applications. So up till now we have covered, I think, up to week number 7. So now the week number 8 will be running. So up to week number 7, what are the content of the syllabus? In the week number 1, we discussed the introduction to machine learning. And also we discussed about the performance measurement. And one important concept is the bias and the variance compromise. So how to decompose the mean square error into bias and the variance. And that concept I discussed in the week number 1. And also I discussed the concept of the linear regression. So that is the content in the week number 1. In week number 2, we discussed the concept of the Bayesian decision theory.
Hello, results I am.
Hello.
I'm really sorry, sir.
Okay. Okay. Just can you put okay, mute your microphone? Yes, please. So in week number 2, we discussed the concept of the Bayes decision theory. So the concept is coming from the Bayes law, the Bayes theorem. And after this, we discussed what is the meaning of the likelihood. We discussed about the meaning of the prior and also the concept of the evidence. And after this, also we discussed the posterior probability or the posterior density. And in this case, we discuss one important point, the Bayes decision theory, and how to consider the determination of the decision boundary between the classes. So that point also we discuss in the week number 2. So based on the covariance matrix, we can decide the decision boundary between the classes. So for this, what we decided, so if the class conditional density is given, that is the probability of x given omega I, that is the class conditional density is given. And then corresponding to this, we can determine the discriminant function. So discriminant function is nothing but W transpose X plus W naught is equal to, that is the discriminant function. So Gx is equal to W transpose X plus W naught. So that is the discriminant function. And based on this, we can decide the decision boundary between the classes. So in one case, I considered the covariance matrix is same for all the classes. So for all the classes, the covariance matrices all are same, and it is a diagonal covariance matrix. And corresponding to this, we have determined the decision boundary. In the second case, what we can consider, we are considering the covariance matrix that is different for different classes. And we are not considering the diagonal covariance matrix. So for this also we have decided, or we have determined the decision boundary. And after this, we discussed the Bayes decision theory for the binary features. That is actually the naive-based classifier. And finally, we discussed the concept of the Bayesian belief network. So that is in the week number 2. In week number 3, we discussed the concept of the parametric and the non-parametric estimation technique. So in this case, we know the density from, in the parametric case, we know the density. The density means the class conditional density, the probability of x given omega I, but we do not know the values of the parameters. So for this, we can consider the estimation technique like the maximum likelihood estimation technique, or maybe the Bayesian estimation technique we can consider for estimating the parameters. And also in the non-parametric estimation technique, that means the density from is not known, but directly we can determine the density, that is the probability of omega I given x, that we can determine. And that is, we can determine with the help of the some algorithms like Parjan window technique or the k nearest neighbor the technique. This is about the week number 3. In week number 4, we discussed the concept of the perceptron, and also we discussed the discriminative models. So in the perceptron model, we discussed how to determine the weight vector, the best weight vector how I can determine, and that is by considering the gradient descent algorithm. So we discussed about the gradient descent algorithm and how to find the best weight vector that we discussed. And there are some algorithms like perceptron criterion is there, the relaxation criterion is there, MSC criterion is there. So we discussed about the perceptron criterion. And after this, we discussed the concept of support vector machine. That is the discriminative model. So that is in week number 4. In week number 5, that is very important concept like the logistic regression we discussed, the concept of the decision trees, and one important point is the hidden Markov model that we discussed. So in hidden Markov model, I discussed the basic concept of the HMM, the hidden Markov model, and 3 problems I discussed. So forward backward algorithm, Viterbi algorithm. So all this, if you see that the 3 problems we discussed in the hidden Markov model. After this, in week number 6, we discussed about the ensemble method. So the concept of the stacking, bagging, and the boosting. So that concept we discussed, and also the concept of the random forest and also the AdaBoost classifier. Week number 7 is the dimensionality problem. So very 2 important concept. 2 important concept is the PCA, the principal component analysis, and another one is the LDA, the linear discriminant analysis. So PCA is an unsupervised technique and LDA is a supervised technique. So how to reduce the dimension of the feature vector, that concept I discussed in the PCA. After this, now we'll be discussing the week number 8. From the week number 8 we'll be running. That is based on the mixer model and the clustering. And week number 9 is also for the clustering. That is the unsupervised clustering. Week number 10 is for the artificial neural networks. Week number 11 for some deep architectures like CNN and some problems of the deep architecture like vanishing gradient problem, exploding gradient problem, and the architecture like LeNet 5, LXNet, GoogleNet, and residual net. So that we'll be discussing in week number 11. And in week number 12, we discuss some generative model like generative adversarial networks, the basic concept of the autoencoder, and also the concept of the recurrent neural networks, and some programming examples. So this is the course outline. So up till now, we discussed the week number 7. Now come to the questions. I have received some questions in the Excel sheet. The first question is by Dhanalakshmi. Dhanalakshmi, she wrote like this. So want to create ML project related to student syllabus objective and course outcome for all the department in one university. So that means you can develop some ML algorithms, ML projects. Just can you put up your microphone? Just please mute your microphone. So this actually the ML projects, maybe the projects on computer vision, projects on NLP, projects on speech recognition, projects on the character recognition, document analysis. So you can consider this type of projects for ML or the deep learning. So these type of projects you can consider for students. So you can see many projects on computer vision, many projects on biometrics like face recognition, fingerprint recognition. In speech recognition also you can develop some projects. In NLP also you can develop some projects. There are many applications of machine learning. Even in the other branches of the engineering like civil engineering also, there people are using machine learning. Mechanical engineering also people are using machine learning and the deep learning. So based on this you can develop some projects. So this is the first question. The second question is Rajanish Kumar. So sir, I am doing research area on AI, but I am unable to understand the concept from your lecture in very clearly. So his problem is only the mathematics and the coding. So mathematics, at least some of the things what I discuss in the course that you should understand. Then your basic will be very strong. Otherwise, if you directly read from some open source, or if you directly do the coding, then your concept may not be good. So that is why better to understand this mathematics, this simple mathematics. And this mathematics is mainly based on the linear algebra and the probability. So if you just understand this mathematical concept, then I think your background or the basic will be very strong. Then you can understand the advanced algorithms, and even you can develop some new algorithms. So understanding is important of this mathematical concept. So you have to devote some time for the mathematics. And for coding, actually, mainly you have to consider the Python programming. So you have to do the practice in the Python programming. And for the deep learning, you have some like TensorFlow is there, Keras is there, and also for deep learning, PyTorch, these systems are available, PyTorch. So like this, you can consider your programming skill. You can improve your programming skill in Python, mainly Python. So another by Kishore, will the exam contains coding problems? No coding problems. Maybe some one or two, maybe some objective type coding problems may be there, but I don't know. I'm not very much sure about this. But you cannot expect coding problems. Mainly the whatever it is in the class that you can see. The Harsh Sharma, his name is Harsh Sharma. Sir, I am a fourth year, and right now I have started ML, and I am in weak in coding. Yes, so give me. So coding is mainly the Python programming. You have to learn the Python programming. So first thing is you have to learn the Python programming, how you can use the libraries, NumPy and Pandas. These libraries are available, and this coding you have to understand. And after this, if you understand the machine learning, these algorithms, I think the coding is not so difficult. And nowadays in the open source also, you can get some idea how to do the coding. So another one is the Adarsh Kumar Gupta. So he mentioned about this, which language is best for learning the machine language. So for coding, mainly the Python programming is good because you have some good libraries like the Pandas or the NumPy. So this type of the library is available. And for the deep learning, already I mentioned you can consider the TensorFlow, Keras, PyTorch. So these type of programming platforms you can consider. So these are the online. These are the questions I have received in the shared document. So these are the questions. Now come to this live session. So this is the second live session of the course. So I think some students are attending this live session. So if you have any doubts, then we can discuss in the live session. So you can write your question in the chat box in the YouTube chat box, or maybe in the Microsoft Team chat box you can use. So you can write your question, and now we can discuss in the live session, this live session. And for the problem solving, what I am thinking, so we may consider one or two live sessions for problem solving. So today I discussed with my TAs. So they are also willing to discuss with you some programming, not programming, mainly the problems. So if you are interested, then we can organize one or two live sessions for the problem solving. So that you have to send the mail to NPTEL. Then we can consider, because you have the forum, no, live forum is there. So in the live forum, you mentioned that you are interested in the live session for the problem solving. So then we can organize one or two problem solving sessions. So, so if you have any questions, then we can discuss in this live session. And for problem solving, again, I am telling you that we can organize one or two live sessions. Then if you have any questions up to week number 7, then we can discuss in this live session. This is a second live session. And we have another 2 live sessions. And for the problem solving, we can organize another 2 live sessions. So if you are interested for the problem solving, then just you can mention in the forum. So you send the mail, then accordingly we can fix some slot for the problem solving, 1 or 2. So I think from week number 7, week number 6, actually the course, I think it is interesting. If you see the week number 6 is mainly we are discussing the ensemble classifiers, and week number 7 is mainly on PCA and the LDA. So I think these concepts are, I think, okay for most of you. And I think now it will be interesting because the first part is mathematical, because we discuss the Bayesian decision theory and the parametric and the non-parametric estimation. So for this, you need some mathematical background. But for the rest of the algorithms like PCA, LDA, mathematics is important, but you can understand the ensemble method is very simple. And also from the next week, we will be discussing the concept of the unsupervised clustering. So that also, I think that you can understand easily. And again, we'll be discussing the concept of the artificial neural networks and also the deep architectures. That will be easy. So in the exam also, you can expect some objective type questions, not mathematical, but the concept based question, you can expect the objective type questions. So now I have seen some questions in the box. Let me check one by one. So the first question is by Sainam Gupta. Sir, there is some problem in week number 4, question number 9, and question number 10, and week number 5, question number assignment solution. Please discuss and reconsider those. So what you can do, you send one email to my TAs. You know the email ID of the TA. So then accordingly, they will reevaluate these questions. Or maybe in the live session, you can discuss with the TAs. So if you do not have the email ID, in the last time, actually, I have given the email ID of my TAs of the course. So they can help you in solving these problems. In week number 4, you have 2 questions, question number 9 and question number 10. And week number 5, you have only 1 question. So I am giving the mail ID. So just you check the set box. I am giving the mail ID of the students. So you can directly contact them. So another one is from Yas Agarwala. Not a doubt, sir. So, okay. So I just wanted to say that I am really enjoying your classes. Thank you for them. They have been very helpful. Okay, just thank you for your comments and the feedback. So I am now sending the mail ID of the students. So just see. So another one is the Sibam. Good evening, sir. I was start to late watching the lectures. I skipped 3-4 weeks, then continued to from 5th week. Are the important for understanding upcoming? No, from week number 6 actually, and they are not much related. Week number 6, 7, 8, 9, not much related. But I advise you to see all the lectures from the beginning, from the week number 1. Then only your concept will be good. But some of the weeks like week number 6, ensemble classifier. So the previous concepts are not so important, like artificial neural networks, the deep architecture. So that concepts, the initial concepts are not so important. But I advise you for the exam, better to see all the lectures beginning from the week number 1. So now I am giving the mail IDs of my. So I am just typing the name of the TS, the email IDs of the TS. So you can note down these email IDs. and you can send a mail to them. And in the forum also, in this course forum is there. In the course forum also, you can discuss these problems with the TAs. And already I told you that there will be 1 or 2 live sessions for problem solving. So if you are interested, then you can send your message to the live forum, and accordingly we can organize 1 or 2 live sessions mainly for the problem solving. So you can see the mail IDs of the students, the TAs. So they can help you. So one question is by Sakir. So till date, everything is very clear. Thank you. Thank you, Sakir. So another question is by Sanyam Gupta. Sure, sir. I have posted the query on discussion forum. We'll mail to. One more thing is in initial week, the assignment has some calculation intensive questions. Are we allowed to carry calculator? No, in the exam actually, they will give the online calculator. So in the portal, you will get the calculator. Like the JEE exam, you have the calculator online. So in the screen, you will get the calculator. That calculator you can use. But I think calculation is not so difficult. So you will get a simple calculator, and with the help of the calculator, you can do the you can solve the problems. The calculators will not be allowed in the exam hall, but in the portal, the calculators will be there. So I am waiting for your the questions. If you have any questions, then we can discuss in the live session. And you can mention, already I mentioned that if you are interested, then the problem solving sessions, 1 or 2, we can organize. Okay, Sibam has written something. In nowadays, new models and technology like GAN AI, LLMs, Transformer, and many other we listen. It looks learning old ML models will work in this time and get a job. Yes, yes, because this course is the ML and the deep learning, both the things we are covering. And in many applications, people are still using the machine learning because deep learning has some disadvantages. If you do not have the label data, or in many applications, it is not possible to apply deep architectures, then you have to apply the machine learning techniques. So that is why the concept of the machine learning techniques are important. And along with this, we have introduced the deep architectures, like the fundamental concept of the CNN. GAN also we have discussed. So whatever you mentioned, LLM transformers, so there will be another course. So I'll be recording another course. Already I have recorded. That course will be on deep learning, mainly on deep learning. And in that case, in that course, actually, we discuss starting from the CNN, the GAN, adversarial networks, LLMs, transformers, set GPT, and also some advanced model like foundation models, federated learning. So all these concepts that will be discussed in the deep learning course. But this is the course on machine learning, both machine learning and the deep learning. And that is why both the things we have discussed, the machine learning is quite important in many applications because already I have mentioned the disadvantage of the deep architectures. If we do not have the sufficient amount of training data, or if we do not have the resource, the computing resource like the high-end GPU or like this, then we can consider the machine learning algorithms because their performance is better in that case as compared to deep learning. So that is why the machine learning algorithms are quite important. And in many cases, we have seen that if you understand the machine learning concept, then developing the new architectures in deep learning, it will be easy. So if you want to develop something new, suppose like the transformers, then that concept, the machine learning concepts are coming. So directly, if you go to directly like the transformers or the set GPT, LLM, then it will be difficult to understand many cases and you cannot develop something new. If you want to do the research on this, the deep learning, then your basic concepts, the mathematical concepts are important. Then only you can develop something new. So that is why in the first part, we discuss the concept of the machine learning, the basic machine learnings. And I think this will be sufficient for practical problems, applications. And second part is the introduction to deep learning. And in that case, we discuss the concept of the CNN, generative AI, and autoencoders, RRN. This we have discussed. But in details, we can discuss in another course. And that course will be only on deep learning, not on machine learning. So one question is by Mohesh. Can we MATLAB could be applying machine? Yes, some students are using the MATLAB, but MATLAB has some problems. But now these problems are also they have addressed. So the toolbox is also available. You can use the MATLAB code also. But I think better to consider that Python programming for this machine learning, and maybe you can consider some algorithms like sorry, some programming platforms like TensorFlow for the deep learning, Keras, PyTorch. So this you can use for the deep learning. But for the machine learning, mainly better to consider the Python programming, and MATLAB is also in many cases it is okay. So Shibam, so maybe and in the next year you can see the one course on deep learning, the mainly on the deep learning. So already we have planned for this, and starting from the CNN, generative AIs, LLMs, transformers, GPT foundation models, federated learning. So all these concepts will be discussed in the deep learning course. So that time machine learning we are not discussing, only the deep learning we are discussing. So one question is by Mohesh, sir, boosting how we can get misclassified samples. So the samples are there. Suppose some of the samples are correctly classified. So that means samples are correctly classified means the X is the sample. X is assigned to a particular class and that is the correct class. So X is assigned to the class omega 1, that is the correct class. So that means that particular sample is correctly classified. Suppose if X is assigned to another class omega 2 or omega 3, that is the misclassification. So that is the misclassified sample. So in the boosting, these misclassified samples we are considering and we are giving importance to the misclassified sample. The samples which are correctly classified, we don't have any problem. But the samples which are not correctly classified, we are giving importance to the misclassified sample in the boosting. So that is why we are considering that weighted samples we are considering. The samples which are not correctly classified, we are giving the importance to that sample. And samples which are correctly classified by the classifier, that is not a problem. That is a very good thing. So that means the feature vector X or the sample X is assigned to a particular class. And that class is the omega 1 and that is the correct class. If the sample X is assigned to some other class, then we can see this is the misclassification. So based on this, we can consider the weighted samples. So the samples which are not correctly classified, we are giving the importance and that is the weighted samples we are considering. And after this, again, we are going for the classification. So that is actually the concept of the boosting. So if you see the AdaBoost classifier, we are considering this concept. Sir, there will be time delay, then stacking and baking. Time delay is not a factor because in this case, only we are giving the importance to the misclassified samples. The weights are given to the misclassified samples. W1, W2, W3, these are the weights I am giving corresponding to the misclassified sample. So that only the weighting I have done. The samples which are correctly classified, oh, okay, that is very good. The samples which are not correctly classified, that we are giving the importance to that. So that is the concept of the AdaBoost algorithm. So Mohesh, thank you for your compliment. You mentioned that you are providing good explanation videos. So we are trying, but maybe in the next course on deep learning, you can see some advanced concept like the generative models, the transformers, ChatGPT, LLMs. So in the next year, you will get that course on deep learning, mainly on deep learning. So you mentioned, Mohesh, another question, that which model for speech processing, for speech recognition, speaker identification? So earlier, actually, if you see that in machine learning, people were using the hidden Markov model. Hidden Markov model, in many papers, you can get that model for speech recognition, speaker identification. And sometimes you can see the DTW, the dynamic time warping DTW algorithm was used in speech processing, speech recognition, speaker identifications. But now, actually, the people are using the deep architectures. So even the CNN, they're using for dimension reduction, they're using the autoencoders. So mainly deep architectures now people are using, but these models like hidden Markov model, DTW, the dynamic time warping, or maybe something, some algorithm like estimation theory, they considered in machine learning. But now many people are using the deep architectures for speech recognition, speaker identifications. So if you just Google, then you can see there are many papers on speech recognition, speaker identifications, and now the people are using the deep architectures for this speech recognition and the speaker identifications. For speech brain, yes, you can use that model also. Brain, yes, this is one model, but I am not very much sure about this model because I do not work in speech. I work in mainly on computer vision machine learning. So I think that model I have studied actually long back. So I think that model also you can consider. Horse. The question is by horse. So I think you can use that model. But for speech, you can see the original paper by Rabiner. So hidden Markov model for speech recognition or the speaker identification, that is by Rabiner paper. And hidden Markov model was very popular at that time. And still many people are using also hidden Markov model, but modified version of the hidden Markov model. And also already I mentioned that people are now using the deep architectures for this speech problem, like the speaker identification, speech recognition. So these are the problems on the speech domain. So if you have any questions, then again, you can type in the chat box. Otherwise, I have to conclude the live session. And already I mentioned that if you are interested in the problem solving, then you send your message to the forum or my email also to the TS. You can send the email, and accordingly we can organize one or two live sessions for the problem solving. So Harsh, you can get my contact details in my web page. So web page is, I'm giving the web page information. So this is my web page. So in this web page, you can get my contact information. So if you do not have any questions, then we can conclude this live session. Okay, no? We can conclude, yes, yes, yes. So, okay, thank you for attending this live session. And this is the second live session of the course. And we have another 2 live sessions of the course. And already I mentioned that for problem solving, we can organize 1 or 2 live sessions, mainly for the problem solving. So if you are interested, then you send your message to the forum. And accordingly, we can fix some time slots for problem solving. So once again, thank you for attending this live session. Thank you. So
Thank
can
you,
I log
sir.
out? Hello?
Thank you, sir.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.